Russia's withdrawal from the International Space Station could mean the early demise of the orbital lab and sever another link with the West. We'll see what happens, especially after what happened a few days ago with the destruction of Nordstream gas pipelines 1 and 2, supplying gas from Russia to Europe. This was written by Wendy Whitman-Kopp, Professor, Strategy and Security Studies at U.S. Air Force School of Advanced Air and Space Studies on the conversation. Russia announced its plan to withdraw from the International Space Station after 2024. This was published on the same day based on the statement from the head of Russia's space agency. But since then, Russia appears to have changed its stance. The video posted by the Russian Space Agency and statements from NASA both indicate that Russia intends to continue operating the ISS with current partners until its own space station is complete. That station is scheduled to be operating sometime in 2028. So Russia intends to withdraw from the International Space Station after 2024, they said, according to the announcement from Yuri Borisov, the new head of the Russian space agency Roscosmos. Now, this article was written in August of this year, so that was before the destruction of Nord Stream 1 and 2. Let's see what happens with the space station after this, because we know that a lot of these supplies and astronauts go up there from the Baikonur space station and are shipped there by Russian Soyuz craft. Now, current agreements on the ISS have it operating through 2024, and the station needs Russian modules to stay in orbit, as we said. The US and its partners have been seeking to extend the station's life to 2030. Russia's announcement, while not a breach of any agreement or an immediate threat to the station's daily operation, does mark the culmination of months of political tensions involving the ISS. And then let's keep in mind, this was before the Nord Stream destruction. Now, over its 23-year lifetime, the station has been an important example of how Russia and the US can work together despite being former adversaries. This cooperation has been especially significant as the country's leadership has deteriorated in recent years. While it remains unclear whether the Russians will follow through with this announcement, it does add significant stress to the operation of the most successful international cooperation in space ever. As a scholar who studies space policy, I think the question now is whether the political relationship has gotten so bad that working together in space becomes impossible. So it was bad in August of 2022. It's even worse now after Nord Stream, obviously. So what would this withdrawal look like? Russia operates 6 of the 17 modules of the ISS, including Zvezda, which houses the main engine system. This engine is vital to the station's ability to remain in orbit. To how it moves out of the way of dangerous space debris. Under the ISS agreement, Russia retains full control and legal authority over its own modules. It's currently unclear how Russia's withdrawal will play out. Russia's announcement speaks only to after 2024. Additionally, Russia did not say whether it would allow the ISS partners to take control of the Russian modules and continue to operate the station, or whether it would require that the modules be shut down completely. Given that the Russian modules are necessary to station operations, it's uncertain whether the station would be able to operate without these. Also, it's unclear whether it would be possible to separate the Russian modules from the rest of the ISS, as the entire station was designed to be interconnected. Depending on how and when Russia decides to pull out of the station, partner countries will have to make tough choices about whether to deorbit the ISS altogether or find creative solutions to keep it in the sky. A continuation of political tensions. Okay, let's remember this was way before the Nord Stream explosion and destruction. Things are not good is in relation towards the ties between U.S. and Russia. And it may obviously logically extend to the International Space Station longevity. So, a continuation of political tensions. The announcement of the withdrawal is the latest in a series of events concerning the ISS that have occurred since Russia first invaded Ukraine in February. Russia's decision to leave should not have a significant effect on the daily function of ISS. Like a number of minor incidents that have happened over the previous months, it is more of a political action. The first incident occurred in March when 3 Russian cosmonauts emerged from their capsule in yellow and blue flight suits that were similar in color to the Ukrainian flag. Despite the resemblance, Russian officials never spoke about the coincidence. Only then, on July 7, 2022, NASA publicly criticized Russia for apparently staging a propaganda photo. In the photo, the 3 Russian cosmonauts posed with flags associated with regions in eastern Ukraine occupied by Russian forces. These are the regions that recently have been annexed to Russia after the referendum vote. There have been no disruptions to the operation of the station itself. Astronauts on the station continue to perform dozens of experiments every day, as well as carrying out joint spacewalks. But one substantial effect of the increasing tensions was the end of Russian participation in joint experiments with European nations aboard the ISS. So you can see that they stopped teamwork there. With little information available about how Russia's withdrawal will affect the use of its modules in the short term, it seems likely that the largest effects will be on scientific experiments. And why now? It's unclear why Russia made this announcement now. It may have another announcement coming up after the Nordstream has been destroyed. Now, tensions surrounding the ISS have been high since Russia's invasion of Ukraine began February 2022. At the time, Dmitry Rogozin, then head of Roscosmos, insinuated that Russia's leaving the ISS might be a possibility. However, Rogozin was recently fired, and NASA and Roscosmos announced a seat swap for the ISS. Under this deal, the American astronaut would launch to the station. An American astronaut would launch to the station on a future Soyuz mission, while a cosmonaut would launch on an upcoming SpaceX Dragon launch. The two moves together suggest that the two sides might still be able to find ways to work together in space, but it seems those impressions were misleading. Again, I would say that that's not going to take place after Nord Stream destruction. The announcement also comes as the U.S. is considering the future beyond the ISS. NASA is currently in the first phase of developing of commercial space station as a replacement for the orbital lab. While accelerating the development of this new space station would be difficult, it does signal that the ISS is nearing the end of its productive and inspirational life, no matter what Russia does. This article was republished from The Conversation under Creative Commons, and it's on space.com. It's by Wendy Whitman-Cobb. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.